Here's some more mainstream media BS for you. This Hunter Biden story. Did you hear this story? Yeah, Hunter Biden likes to peddle his influence. Hey, I'll get you a meeting with Daddy. He's got to pay me $50,000 a month, okay? Put me on the board of your energy, your Ukrainian energy board. So you pay me $50,000, $80,000 a month, and I'll let you meet Daddy. Peddling his influence. That's reported. We know that that's true. Well, New York Post yesterday came out with their bombshell story about Hunter Biden and how this Hunter Biden left his laptop at a computer repair shop because of water damage, took it to a Delaware computer repair shop, a MacBook with a solid state drive. So when we get into the techie stuff, this is when I'm starting to get interested in it, because most of the mainstream media won't cover this angle on it. They won't talk to you about this stuff because they don't know what they're talking about. So this New York Post story, right? Meanwhile, it's a Rupert Murdoch entity, of course, right? One of the writers of the article used to work for the Hannity show. Okay, so there's a lot of questions about the veracity of this. Somehow Rudy Giuliani got his hands on these emails that were found on the laptop at this computer repair shop, and he says there's more coming. There's 40,000 emails that he's going to release. Rudy Giuliani, President Trump's lawyer. Remember, by the way, that why the president was impeached in the first place is because Rudy Giuliani was flying to Ukraine trying to dig up information on the Bidens, which led to how many indictments of Trump staff or Trump's closest friends and allies, and the president being impeached, by the way. So there's a lot of collateral damage in Rudy Giuliani's wake. Nevertheless, this story emerges. The New York Post reports it. Freedom of the press in the United States, right? There's a lot in the media that I can't stand. I think the New York Times is full of garbage. The New York Times caught lying once again this week. But they still have a right to report it, and we have the right to disseminate it. We have the right to discuss it. You know, it's like going back to pamphleteering and Thomas Paine handing out common sense, talking about why we, should become an independent country. We have the right to disseminate this. We have the right to sit down in pubs and discuss it and sit there and say, "Do you see that New York Post story? Yeah, do you see that one of the writers of the story used to work at Fox? You see that you see Rudy Giuliani's in? Yeah, I think it's a bunch of crap, right? There's a lot in this story that makes no sense. Like the hard drive, for instance. The date on the serial number for the hard drive is after he actually bought the computer. So the hard drive looks like it was a third-party hard drive, not Hunter Biden's hard drive at all. And if you know anything about computers, you can start to dig into the serial numbers and see when they were actually shipped with that MacBook. So it's odd that wait a minute, there's a hard drive that wasn't actually in your MacBook that had this information on it. So somebody at this computer repair shop basically stole information off your hard drive and put it on another hard drive and gave it to somebody. The guy at this computer repair shop comes out, gives this crazy interview yesterday. There's a lot of crap with this story. I get that. Nevertheless, Twitter decided and Facebook decided to treat it as misinformation, to block anyone from tweeting about it or sending Facebook messages about it yesterday. So if you tried to tweet this story out, this Hunter Biden story out, you would have been met with this. No, I'm not saying it was stolen. I'm saying the information was stolen, John. If he didn't come back and pick up the hard drive or his computer to get it fixed, yeah, he left it there. I'm not defending Hunter Biden at all. I'm just saying we've got to question everything, right? Anyway, what I'm saying is, so you go to send this. Oh, tweet not sent. Your tweet couldn't be sent because this link has been identified by Twitter or our partners as being potentially harmful. Facebook was doing the same thing, announced that it was going to limit this message being spread around Facebook. Isn't this amazing? Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, came out and he apologized basically and issued a statement yesterday, basically saying that they should not have been flagging this without a reason. So people trying to share this story and have a discussion about this story about Hunter Biden couldn't do it. It is interesting, though, the timing of this, isn't it? 3 weeks before the election, suddenly there's a laptop that turns up with all kinds of emails. And we're not actually even seeing the proper emails themselves. We're actually seeing images of the emails. That, therefore, we don't even get to see the metadata of the email. So someone was taking screenshots of the emails, not actually the emails themselves. So there's again, this story stinks. There's a lot to it, and it stinks. It smells bad. And if I was a reporter doing this story, I would start from the ground up, not trust any of the sourcing on this. I would independently try to verify all of this stuff. But, most blogs and people won't do that. They'll just regurgitate this story. That's why I didn't cover it in our newsletter, because it stinks. Something's really fishy here. But I will cover the fact that Facebook blocked it and Twitter blocked it because they work for the government. We see the cozy relationship these social media companies have with the federal government, blocking big stories like this. They're in cahoots. They don't want this stuff getting out there. And the American people have a right to know. The American people have a right to know, like, what level of, corruption that Joe Biden may be sitting on, peddling influence, having his son get a job, getting $50,000 to $80,000 per month. The guy didn't even have to show up for the job. Hunter Biden did. He just was on their board, didn't have to do anything. But he could arrange meetings and come to the United States, meet my vice president father. Get cushy relationships with the Ukrainian government. Here was Joe Biden when he was asked specifically about this question. He couldn't answer it, and he got furious and just yelled at the reporter for asking the question. And he wants to turn it right back to Donald Trump.
What was your role as vice president in charge of policy in Ukraine, in your son's job in Ukraine? How is that not a conflict of interest?
It's not a conflict of interest. There's been no indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. I'm not going to respond to that. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this man, what he's doing that no president has ever done. No president.
Focus on that. Focus on President Trump. No president has ever done. There's no indication. I love that too. There's no indication. How about the indication is that your son got $50,000 a month? How about that indication? There's no indication. I love he just points right at the, how dare you? Aren't you a member of the press? Aren't you a liberal media? You're not supposed to ask me that kind of a question. There's no indication. But we should all be upset at the way, we're starting to get into China, North Korea territory now, where we can call Facebook a media company. A few years ago when they started curating news stories in their news feed, allowing partnerships with like the Washington Post and New York Times and LA Times for you to be able to post your crap on Facebook as a news provider, they're a media company. They have Facebook Watch, which is a media company, which is they're basically their version of YouTube now. Twitter as well. You can watch NFL games on Twitter now. They're media companies. That's where the real money is. That's why they're signing exclusive deals to get NFL games and things like that. Facebook started their Facebook Watch shows with doing exclusive content on Facebook, which no one watches, by the way. They're media companies. They're just like mainstream media. We want to pretend that they're social media. They're not. But this is how some of the most important information in our society gets, in war zones and other areas, tweets that come out of those. To think that like Twitter's sitting there blocking or hiding certain information because certain government people don't want you to know about it. I mean, This is disgusting stuff, folks. Anyone has a problem with this, write to Jack Dorsey at Twitter. @Jack. That's his handle. Say, outrageous that you would block this type of information. Who are you, by the way? Who is Facebook? Who are these fact checkers? They're basically, Facebook's message was, we're going to fact check this. You're going to fact check it? Facebook? So the American people are now putting our trust in you, Facebook, to be fact-checking stories? What is this, a 22-year-old who's sitting there at a computer, who's hanging out on TikTok, is going to fact-check stories now? Or are you going to go, when you say you're going to fact-check a story, what does that mean? So this New York Post story, how are you fact-checking that exactly? Is Facebook going to independently contact the owner of that computer hardware repair shop and dig in with some tough questions? When did Hunter Biden leave this laptop here? Can you tell me exactly what was? They're not going to fact check that. How are they going to fact check it? They're not. All they're going to do is check with other media sources. So they're going to check the New York Post story by checking on Breitbart. They're going to check on foxnews.com. They're going to go to thedailycaller.com. They're going to go to msnbc.com and confirm. So they're going to check with other mainstream media companies to confirm the veracity of reports.